yesterday when all of us were standing in this room and you all were working hard on behalf of Senator Marsden and myself. It was a little bit cooler, don't you think? You all were knocking on doors, trudging through snow and more snow and more snow, and making lots of phone calls. And thanks to all your hard work and efforts, you elected Dave Marsden to the Senate and myself to the House of Delegates, and I can't thank you enough. In addition to your hard work, as you know, I worked very hard, and I've been working hard for you since. My district has changed a little bit since redistricting, many of you know. It's about 30% new, 15,000 new voters, and so I'm out there knocking on doors and working very hard. A lot of folks ask me, what's it like to be in the minority in the House, and can you really make a difference? I'll tell you, it makes a difference to have somebody, even in the minority, who's going to stand up for the issues and values that you care about, that we know are so dear. It's important to have somebody go and press that button and say no to additional cuts to our education, or no more borrowing for transportation. Right. That's essential. And it's also important to have somebody who really wants to can work across party lines to get things done and to be results oriented. But I'll tell you, I can't do it alone. The House needs the Senate. And that's why we need to work extremely hard to re-elect my friend Dave Marsden. He's my partner in the Senate. He's a leader when it comes to juvenile justice issues. He also has a strong grasp of the issues and has a willingness and a desire to get things done and work across party lines. As you know, Dave Marsden has deep roots in Fairfax County, been raised here himself and raised his entire family here. He's also really focused on just overall improving our quality of life for all of us here. And in 2010, during the special election, everyone said he couldn't do it. He was down in the polls and he wasn't going to win. He didn't stop, and with your hard work and efforts, and with his, he won and made it to the state senate. Woo! Please, thank you for all that you've done, but we need to send back Dave Marsden to the state senate. So without further ado, let me introduce to you my friend and wonderful senator, Senator Dave Marsden.
Yeah. All right, thank you. I'm going to make this quick. This is actually a training session for getting out into the field today, because we want to get everybody used to the heat. And, because there's going to be a lot of heat in this campaign, because keeping the state senate is the most important thing you can possibly do. You would not believe the bills that Dick Saslaw was able to get killed in committee that came over from the House of Delegates. If you don't have a democratically controlled state senate, we got big troubles here in Virginia. Let me tell you right now. This is serious business. And I appreciate everybody being out here today who's taking this as serious business. And I know we can get it done. I want to introduce a couple of folks who are running for office this year. But first I want to introduce Rex Simmons. Rex, you here? Chairman of the Fairfax County Democratic Committee. And also we have Don Nickman, who's running for the school board. Jack Dobbin, right here in the 42nd District, running against Dave Albo in the House of Delegates. And just arriving with his impeccable timing, as always, Mark Sickles in the House of Delegates. Everybody leave everybody out, but let me tell you, it is serious, serious business this year, and need your help. And the fact that you're out here today in such force just makes me want to go out and do everything I can to make sure that Fairfax County, that the Commonwealth of Virginia, that the United States of America has good leadership. And we all read the papers every day, and we know the dire circumstances that this nation is in. And thank God we have leaders like Mark Warner, and that we're going to have a new state senator like Tim Kaine. These are people who come along. Come along when they find a car in the ditch. Some people come by and say, well, that guy must not have been driving right. And somebody else comes by and says, who put that ditch here? But Mark Warner and Tim Kaine come along and says, how do we get the car out of the ditch? That's the problem. That's what's going on in America right now. That's why we need this kind of leadership. Now, I have had the honor of serving under 4 governors in Richmond. I served for a while under Jim Gilmore. I served for a while under Mark Warner. Tim Kaine was governor when I first got down in the House of Delegates. Yeah, the little house. And also now I serve under Bob McDonnell. Now let me tell you something. If this was Dancing with the Stars, anybody want to venture forth who'd be in the bottom 2? It is a question of seeing problems and coming at them in a straightforward fashion, without gimmickry, without tricks, telling people the truth. This is what we need in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and trying to build the support to get it done, for transportation, for education. My message to folks at the doors this year has been very, very simple. We need to restore education in the Commonwealth of Virginia as a priority. Yeah. That's what will attract business to Fairfax County. And let me tell you something. When we attract business, we attract jobs, but we need to make Fairfax County the place of choice for people to live. Because that's what's going to protect our home values, get them back to where they need to be. We rely on them to educate our kids. We rely on them for retirement. We rely on them for so many things. And the jobs are going to come to Northern Virginia. I know it. You know it. We just need to make sure that Fairfax County is the best place for people to live. Not Montgomery County, not Prince George's County, Fairfax County. Yeah. And so we have an opportunity here coming up next year to elect someone to the United States Senate who is the most prepared person I could ever possibly imagine. I served with this gentleman for 4 years down in Richmond, and every day the message was clear. Every day the support was there. Every day we look forward in Virginia to making it a great place to live. And unfortunately we're hitting stumbling blocks now. We're running into the denial. We're running into the, well, let's try this gimmick. Well, let's borrow our way out of trouble. Folks, we can't do it forever. We need help. We need Tim Kaine in the United States Senate. Thank you, Tim. Thank you guys very much. Wow, this is great. Give yourselves a big round of applause. Yeah. Thank you all. Thanks for the standing ovation. Thanks for the warm reception. This is wonderful to be here. I feel great. I feel great being with two wonderful candidates in this joint office opening. I call them the special election twins, and I guess they decided after their special election victories, why not? It worked, so let's keep going and do things together. And Dave and Eileen, thank you for pulling this together, inviting me up to it, to Mark Sickles and so many other great folks here in the crowd. Sharon and Brian, I think, may join us later, but it is a treat to be here for these wonderful candidates. And I want to say a word about each of them, but I'll just emphasize very, very important set of elections coming up this November. All across the Commonwealth, I'm doing events for people who are running for the legislature. It's the first election after redistricting. So the redistricting maps get drawn, and frankly, they get drawn in ways that are very tough on these House guys. And so on the House side, what the Republican majority thinks is, okay, we drew up this diabolical plan that will hurt Democrats for a very long time, but we can surprise them. And we need to surprise them. We need to make sure we return wonderful members like Eileen and Mark, and then we need to win a couple of strategic seats out there, and we can surprise them. Remember when the Republicans controlled all the levers, they drew their own maps in 2001 thinking they would guarantee their majorities for a long time. Within 6 years, we had taken the state Senate back on the maps that they drew. So what that means is, no matter how tough the maps might look, we can surprise them, and that's what we need to do. And as Dave said, the other big game is we got to hold on to the state Senate. Dave talked about the importance of it in terms of being able to make sure that there's some good government that happens in Virginia. I've recently been the recipient of some arm twisting on behalf of people who wanted to hold on to the U.S. Senate. And so I know when you have narrow margins, the races are always important, but when the margins are narrow, it's critical that we act. So it's hot, it's the summertime, but being out and doing canvassing today, and I know this isn't the first canvassing you've done, is really, really important that we do it. We know how to win these races on the ground. The Democrats are better at the volunteer game by far than the other side. And I know when Dave and Eileen win on election night, they will say we won because of our volunteers. And that's you. So give yourselves a big round of applause. I want to say a word about Eileen. She worked with my administration as with the Warner administration the year before, working together, representing us and putting our best foot forward in Washington in our liaison office. And Eileen is just a remarkable public servant. Her husband Bob is here. He's a great public servant in Politico in his own right. Her two children are here. Great family, very focused on public service. It was interesting when Eileen got elected and was coming to join the House of Delegates.
and came down to be sworn in, like everybody already knew her, like the guards, the doorsmen and the guards and the staff at the governor's mansion. It was like, wow, you know, we've never had anybody come down who was so familiar to us, and she's come into the House of Delegates, which is tough because of the minority position of the Dems, but she's doing exactly what she said, which is standing up for the democratic values we care about. I do consider you a great friend. You did a great job with my administration. Thank you for mentioning my wife, Ann. You know what? Why I know I'm going to get elected to the United States Senate? Because I've won 7 races, but when I ran statewide, my wife was a juvenile court judge, and she could never do a single political event with me. If I could win races without Ann, she could campaign for me. Now I know I'm going to win. I know I'm going to win. My wife is my wife Ann is the best public servant in the House. As Eileen said, she does a great job, and it'll be fun to be out on the trail with her for all of you. Ann's going to be doing events with legislative candidates this fall too. So Eileen, we're so happy to be your friends and to be proud of your success, and we're going to make sure you're victorious. To Dave, you know, Dave, I got to know Dave, and I want to acknowledge Jim Dillard is here. Where's Jim?
He had to take off.
Jim had to take off, so Jim is here as a former member of the House of Delegates. David worked with him as his legislative aide, and I got to know Dave first in that capacity. And Dave ran, you know, having worked as a legislative aide for a wonderful Republican member of the House of Delegates. Dave ran for the House and was elected. And I remember, Dave, you may have heard me say this, but I remember talking to Ward Armstrong, the caucus leader, you know, very shortly after you came in. And we were talking about, you know, the newcomers into the House and folks who would join. And he said, you know, who kind of gets the team ethic, like immediately, and is out there for the team every day, is that guy who used to work for the Republican delegate, who's now one of the best team guys we have. Not only good in his own right, but also a wonderful member of the team. And that's who Dave Marsden is. That's who he is. It will not surprise you when I say this. I noticed a little bit into my political career that politics is a game where the player gets to decide whether he's playing an individual sport or a team sport. I really like the team sport people. And sometimes the team sport people aren't as numerous as you might think. And when you have a good team player like Dave, it's fantastic. In his own right and as a team player, he's a superb member of the Senate. His addition to the state Senate, picking up a seat that had been in Republican hands, was a great win. It gave the Dems a little bit of a cushion there that we needed. And so, Dave, it's great to be up here with you. Julia, Dave's wife, is here, and he's got a great family and others and friends here with him. But give Dave a big round of applause. Let's make sure he wins. So I'll just say this. I want to say one last thing, then I want to introduce our state party chair. These will be close races. Winning these seats and surprising some people, winning a couple of surprising House seats, holding on to the state Senate will be very close. But that's what Virginia's like these days. Thank goodness. You know, because we were a state, when I moved to Virginia in 1984, when I started in statewide politics in 2001, we had an awful lot of races that weren't very close. We were seen as very reliably red. You remember, I think it was in the 2000 presidential race, Fairfax went for George Bush, not Al Gore in 2000. Just that recently. And so in Fairfax and elsewhere, we had a state that wasn't all that competitive. Now we're incredibly competitive. We're a presidential battleground. The margins in our Senate are narrow. We've got 2 Democratic U.S. senators, and that's great, but it also means something. We're not a blue state. We just moved from red to competitive. And that means every cycle, every race, you got to expect it's going to be close. You got to get the Maalox and, you know, get the Pepto-Bismol and get the aspirin, because they're going to be tough races where you're going to have to be grinding out narrow wins. And when the spotlight's on you as a battleground, it's more intense, it's more challenging. But thank God we've moved so that we are so competitive now. So these will be very close races. We can use 11 not only to elect good public servants like these, but if we use it the right way, it builds a platform for success so that we can go into 2012 with all the pundits watching Virginia as a presidential battleground state. We can go in and get electoral votes again for President Obama and maybe win that U.S. Senate race and win some more House seats. So let's just do it. We can just keep building and building and building.